What if Goku trained Deku? Chapter 18. After getting scolded by Ozawa, Deku walked back into his room. He pushed open the door and saw Uraraka laying on his bed. She raised her head when he walked in. "So, who won?" she asked. "It was a draw," said Deku. Uraraka smiled, pulling Deku into a hug. "Why did you fight?" she asked. He was blaming himself for what happened to All Might. He thought it was because he was weak, said Deku. "Yeah, I know the feeling," said Uraraka. Deku hugged her tighter. "It's okay, Ochako. Just don't start a fight anytime soon. Aizawa's already in a bad mood," said Deku. The two laughed and lay down, looking into each other's eyes. "I love you, Deku," said Uraraka. "I love you too, Ochako," said Deku. A few days later, Deku and the rest of Class 1A walked into the room. They were sore from their beating from Mirio, had given them, but they were filled with a new drive for the future. Deku called up Gran Torino to ask about recommendations on work studies. "Work studies, huh? Well, that was All Might's old sidekick," said Gran Torino. "Sir Nighteye, do you really think he'll accept me?" asked Deku. "I think he will. Just make sure to do your best," said Gran Torino. "Thank you, sir," said Deku. Deku was more formally introduced to Mirio, who offered to introduce him to Nighteye. The next day, Deku and Mirio got off the train and walked over to the agency. Mirio knocked on the door and the two walked in. "Hello, sir, I'm Izuku Midoriya," said Deku. Midnight looked Deku up and down. "Thank you, Mirio. Can you please wait outside?" asked Nighteye. Mirio nodded, closing the door on his way out. "So you're All Might's successor, huh? You don't look like much. And where is your smile?" If you want to live up to All Might, you need strength and a smile," said Nighteye. Deku smiled nervously. Disappointing. "Okay, let's see if you will let me down in strength," said Nighteye. Nighteye pulled out a contract and a seal. "If you can take the seal from me and stamp the contract, you will be welcome. I will welcome you with open arms," said Nighteye. Deku nodded, powering up. "Please, do not worry about the contents of this room. Go all out if you need," said Nighteye. Deku shot forward, but Nighteye dodged it. "He's fast." "No, he knew where I was going to be," said Deku. Deku shot back towards Nighteye again, but he was dodged. "Is that all you've got? It appears you're only using 10%, asked Nighteye. Deku's power surged as he powered up to 30%. He shot forward, shocking Nighteye. He was only just able to dodge. Nighteye looked over his shoulder in shock. He knew Deku had control of one for all, but as much as 30%. Deku bounced off the wall, shooting back towards Nighteye. He tried over and over, but no matter how much he tried, he couldn't catch Nighteye. The timer went off, and Deku fell to the floor, panting. He glanced over at Nighteye and saw him sweating. "Are you okay, sir?" asked Deku. "Yes, young man. Congratulations, you have passed." Deku jumped to his feet, punching the air. Nighteye opened the door, letting Mirio in. "Midoriya, put on your costume. It's time to go on patrol," said Nighteye. Deku smiled, getting ready. A few minutes later, he and Mirio were walking down the street. "Your quirk is really strong," said Mirio. "Thanks, man, but I couldn't even beat you or Sir Nighteye," said Deku. "Well, that's just because you can't hit us. If you hit either one of us, you would win," said Mirio. Deku smirked. Thanks to meeting Goku, he had grown so strong. "How much more do you think you can grow?" asked Mirio. As Mirio said that, a small girl ran into Deku and fell to the ground. "Oh, I'm sorry," said Deku. Deku bent down and saw bandages covering her arms and legs. "Oh, I'm sorry for Eri. My daughter can be so careless," said Overhaul. Mirio instantly recognized their target and pushed up Deku's hood over his head. "Careful, my friend, your hood fell down again." "And don't worry about it, sir. We should have been more careful," said Mirio. "Mirio, her arms," said Deku. Mirio shook his head. "What happened to her?" "Why the bandages?" asked Deku. "Like I said, she's careless. She hurts herself sometimes when she plays," said Overhaul. "It's a lot of damage from just playing," said Deku. "Come on, don't be mean. Please, don't mind him," said Mirio. So, what agency do you belong to? Asked Overhaul. Oh, we're just students. Far too lowly to be claiming to be part of an agency. We're just using our internships to get some experience. Speaking of, come on partner, we need to finish patrolling this sector by lunch, said Mirio. Mirio began to walk off, but when Deku tried to stand, Eri wouldn't let go of him. Please, don't go, said Eri. I'm sorry, sir, but your daughter seems to be scared, said Deku. A reaction to being scolded. You really shouldn't be making assumptions about people, said Overhaul. Yeah, everyone's different, said Mirio. What are you doing to this girl? Asked Deku. Overhaul sighed. The situation is kind of embarrassing. I would prefer if we could discuss it where we won't be overheard, said Overhaul. Overhaul walked into the alley behind him, followed closely by Deku and Mirio. Children are tricky. So determined to do whatever they want, said Overhaul. Overhaul went to take off his gloves when Eri jumped out of Deku's arms and ran over to him. Have you finished your little temper tantrum? Asked Overhaul. Eri nodded. The two walked off. Deku tried to follow, but Mirio stopped him. Don't. He was ready to get violent. That's why she left, said Mirio. Deku gritted his teeth in rage. A few minutes later, they met up with Nighteye and explained the situation. He has a daughter? Nighteye asked. Back at the hideout, Overhaul vaporized one of the men in rage. We are almost there, said Overhaul. A few weeks later, the heroes and the police were done with their research and were ready to raid the hideout. They gathered outside the building, and a few police officers walked up to the gate. Deku gritted his teeth, powering up to 10%. He glanced over at Uraraka, who was covered in her usual pink aura. They nodded towards each other. Suddenly, a massive villain smashed through the gate, knocking several police officers into the air. Quick as lightning, Deku shot up, grabbing them out of the air. Deku set them down and turned to face the villain, only to see Uraraka standing on his throat. Gravity bind, she said. The villain's body was being crushed into the ground, and he couldn't move. Amazing, Ochaku, said Deku. Uraraka blushed as Deku flew past her, followed by the police and other heroes. Several villains ran out, trying to stop them, but Deku blasted them aside with ki blasts. No one will stop me this time. I will save her. I will save Eri, said Deku. Deku could feel it. Deep underground there was a very small energy signature of Eri, but she was right next to Overhaul and his men. Before Nighteye could even open the secret passage, Deku launched a massive spin kick, smashing it open. He's so serious, said Nighteye. Deku tore forward, smashing through any villain in his way. Suddenly he came to a wall. For a second he froze, letting the others catch up. Then Deku felt Eri's energy moving away from him on the other side of the wall. She's within reach, said Deku. Deku blasted the wall apart and shot forward, closely followed by Mirio. The two nodded to each other as they tore down the corridor. Suddenly the wall tried to swallow Aizawa, but Fat Gum and Kirishima got in the way. They were thrown into the basement. What was that quirk? Where is he? Asked Deku. Deku focused, then smashed his fist into the wall. He dragged his arm out, exposing the villain Mimic. I found you, said Deku. Deku nodded, knocked out the villain, and took off again. He needed to catch Overhaul. The group rushed down the corridor. Hiding in the shadows, Toga and Twice saw the heroes and police rushed past. Toga blushed, seeing Deku knock out Mimic. Oh, my Izuku is so strong, said Toga. The two villains decided it was time to leave, so Twice made a Mr. Compressed clone who dug them out. Deku flew along, quickly catching up with Overhaul. He tore around the corner and came face to face with the villains. There in front of him were four villains. Deku looked to his left and saw Mirio getting ready, but when he looked behind him, he didn't see the police. We were too fast. We left them behind, said Deku. Mirio shot off, immediately smashing his fist into Overhaul's face. Deku shot after him, blasting chronostasis into the wall, then spinning around and aiming a kick at the drinking villain hanging from the ceiling, but Deku missed. His eyes became blurry and he was off balance. Deku looked over at Mirio and could tell that he was suffering as well. I need to finish this quickly, said Deku. Deku yelled, powering up and smashing the drinking villain into the ceiling. Didn't miss that time, said Deku. Deku shot forward, trying to help Mirio, but he was suddenly stabbed in the leg. Deku looked down and saw some hair in the shape of an arrow stabbing through his calf. Deku gritted his teeth, then grabbed the hair, pulling chronostasis towards him. With a massive punch, he buried his fist into the villain's face. Then Deku felt it. His movements were slowed. He was telling his body what to do, but it wasn't responding as quickly as usual. It must be this guy's quirk, said Deku. Deku looked up the corridor and saw Mirio warping all over the place and pummeling Overhaul and his crony. Overhaul looked down the corridor and saw that Deku had dismantled his underlings. I need to separate things, said Overhaul. He slammed his hand on the ground, and a massive wall shut up in front of Deku, and all the villains were on the other side. Chronostasis, wake up! You too, you drunk idiot, yelled Overhaul. Neither of the unconscious villains moved, so Overhaul ran over and used his quirk to repair the damage to them. A few moments later, the four of them were facing down Mirio, who was starting to show signs of fatigue. No matter what, I won't give up, yelled Mirio. The wall behind the villains was beginning to crumble from Deku on the other side, so Overhaul shot up several more walls. We need to kill this one first, said Overhaul. Overhaul looked behind Mirio and saw Eri hiding. Come here, Eri. If you do, I'll let this one live, yelled Overhaul. Eri began to move, but Mirio got in her way. Don't go. I will beat him, said Mirio. You'll die, said Eri. Mirio smiled. They'll have to hit me for that, said Mirio. Mirio sank into the ground and appeared behind the villains. Using his incredible quirk, he walked around the battlefield, pummeling the villains mercilessly. One of the villains was thrown to the side, but wasn't beaten. You won't beat us, hero, he said. He pulled out a gun, aiming it straight at Eri. If you're a hero, you will save her, yelled the villain. The quirk-destroying bullet tore through the air, heading straight towards the little girl. With only a second, Mirio jumped in the way, wrapping himself around Eri. Mirio smiled to try and raise Eri's spirit, but inside he was hitting himself. However, just before the impact, Deku shot forward and blasted the bullet out of the air. I made it. I'm sorry it took me so long. That slowing quirk is really giving me some trouble, panted Deku. Overhaul screamed, slamming his fist into the ground and shooting waves of spikes towards the two heroes. Immediately Deku spun around, grabbing Eri and flying into the air. Damn it, I'm so slow, said Deku. Suddenly, Deku was cut across the cheek with the same arrow. Deku felt his body slow even more. I need to take him out, said Deku. Deku slowly turned and fired a blast, slamming chronostasis into Overhaul. We might be outmatched, said Overhaul. Overhaul looked at chronostasis and his other knocked out henchman. You will give Eri back, Overhaul screamed. We would rather die, said Mirio. Overhaul grabbed his underlings and they vaporized. Very well, said Overhaul. Overhaul's body vaporized, then suddenly reformed. But it wasn't just him anymore. It was a mess of 4 different people. I will kill you all, yelled Overhaul. Overhaul slammed his hands on the ground and a massive spike shot forwards, aiming straight for Deku. I can't dodge, yelled Deku. Deku fired a blast that blew apart the rock, but the fragments still stabbed into his body. Deku coughed up blood as a large rock stuck out of his chest. I need to protect Eri. Deku fell to the floor and Eri ran out of his arms. No, come back, Eri, said Deku. Please don't hurt them anymore, said Eri. Overhaul grabbed the little girl, then formed a rock elevator to escape. Let's get out of here, brat, said Overhaul. Oh no you don't, yelled Mirio. Mirio sank into the ground, then rocketed out, aiming to grab Eri, but someone already had. I need to be faster, 100%, yelled Deku. Deku's body screamed and began tearing itself apart, trying to contain the power inside of him. Suddenly, he launched forward and grabbed Eri and smashed through Overhaul. The vile villain was thrown violently onto the street above, landing next to his unconscious underling. Deku landed a short distance away and looked at his body in shock. The hole in his chest and the burns from 100% were gone. Was this you? Asked Deku. Deku knelt down next to Eri and noticed he was moving normally. He looked at the little girl and saw her horn glowing. You aren't a healer. No way. Can you rewind time? Asked Deku. Deku smiled, strapping Eri to his back and wrapping her in his ki. Your power is such a blessing. Down the road, Overhaul was now much bigger and was rapidly approaching. Thank you, Eri. One for all. 100%, yelled Deku. Deku's gloves immediately vaporized as his entire body glowed. However, Deku didn't feel any burning. Deku shot forward, kicking Overhaul's body into the air. I'll take you apart, yelled Deku. Deku shot after him. His aura was covered in flames from the intense speed he was moving. Deku appeared in front of Overhaul and formed two gigantic keyblades in his hands. With one slash, Deku cut off all the villain's grotesque limbs. Give her back, yelled Overhaul. Overhaul regenerated and punched at Deku. Deku punched Overhaul in the stomach, sending him higher into the sky, then began to yell, powering up even further. Slowly, two golden dragons curled down from Deku's shoulders and wrapped themselves around his arms. Ultimate move. Gatling Dragon Fist, yelled Deku. Deku tore upwards, appearing above Overhaul. The villain looked up, just in time to see Deku's fists pummeling his body into oblivion. Each powerful punch tore through his body and then exploded. The heroes on the ground looked up in shock. Each blast was like a nuke going off. Uraraka looked up impressed and worried at the same time. Suddenly, Overhaul's broken and crippled body smashed into the ground, followed by Deku landing next to him. The hero was panting and smiling. Using what was left of his body, Overhaul tried to crush Deku and Eri, but Eri's power already round him. The police walked over, seeing Deku and Eri next to a pile of unconscious villains. Uraraka flew over, landing next to her unconscious boyfriend. Deku, wake up, said Uraraka. Slowly, Deku opened his eyes, seeing Uraraka's smiling face. Is Eri okay? Asked Deku. Deku looked over, seeing the child sleeping on the ground next to him. Thank God, said Deku. Uraraka gave him a hand up. So that was 100%, huh? It was awesome, said Uraraka. Deku blushed. The group went to the hospital, but no one's injuries were life-threatening. Kirishima and Fat Gum were in pretty rough state, along with Tamaki, but they would soon recover. Deku sat outside Eri's quarantine room, eating a chocolate bar to restore his energy. I was sloppy in that battle. I let that arrow guy hit me too many times, said Deku. A few weeks later, it was the UA Culture Festival. Normally it would be open to the public, but because of the continued villains' activity, it was only open to students and the staff. However, Nezu had made two exceptions. Thank you for coming, said Nezu. Any time, man, said Goku. Goku and Vegeta walked into the principal's office. You have been a great help to this world and this school, so I would like to formally invite you to the UA Culture Festival, said Nezu. Oh, that sounds fun. Will there be any food? Asked Goku. Nezu laughed at Goku's enthusiasm. Yes, I believe multiple classes have opened food stands, said Nezu. Goku began to drool. I also wanted to ask you a favour. I am worried that even with our security and heroes, something might happen. I ask you just to keep your senses open when you are here. If you feel anything wrong, please help. Of course I know you can't fight, but it would help you'll be able to warn us, said Nezu. The two Saiyans nodded, accepting the request. The next day, Deku took off to grab some rope from the shop. When he realized the rope was broken, Ayama suggested Deku just hold him as he span, but Deku quickly suggested he just buy more. Deku walked out of the store, holding his bag, and powered up, getting ready to fly. However, when he did, that air pressure almost knocked a civilian over. Oh, I'm so sorry, sir. That was careless of me, said Deku. Careful, child. You almost ruined the taste of Gold Tips Imperial, said Nezu. Hang on, I recognize this voice, said Deku. Hey, Gentle, I recognize this kid. He's the UA champion, said La Brava. Gentle's blood ran cold when he saw an emerald aura cover Deku. Gentle criminal, what are you planning? Are you going to attack my school? asked Deku. Gentle took a breath, composing himself. So, you know who I am, boy. I am flattered, but I can't let you get in my way, said Gentle. Gentle bounced away. I need to get away from him quickly, said Gentle. Oh no you don't, yelled Deku. Deku launched forward, taking off at max speed, but he crashed into an elastic barrier in front of him and was launched backwards. What was that? Hold on, I feel something, said Deku. Deku closed his eyes for a second and felt the energy in front of him. The barrier had thrown him back, was giving off a very slight energy. Not so invisible after all, said Deku. Deku smirked, taking off straight up. Gentle looked back, not seeing Deku. I believe we lost him. These young heroes really aren't that impressed. Gentle was cut off when Deku rocketed out of the sky and grabbed Gentle, slamming him into the wall. Deku stood in front of him with a ki blast aiming at his face. Surrender, now, said Deku. Gentle flicked his hand, putting up a barrier. At the same time, Deku fired his blast, which bounced off the barrier, heading back for Deku. As if it was nothing to him, Deku caught it and aimed it back at Gentle. How do you think you're going to escape? Said Deku. Deku fired again, but moved the blast mid-air and slipped it behind the barrier. It smashed into Gentle's side, forcing him to the ground. The villain looked up at Deku. The young hero's body was covered in a dark green aura, and he had several ki blasts circling him, ready to fire. No, I won't let Gentle lose. The young lady began to cry, and Gentle's body began to expand and gain power. A pink aura covered his body, and he smashed his fist into Deku's gut. Deku's feet skidded along the ground, but when he stopped, Deku looked up smirking. So you were holding back? Good, so was I. Gentle looked at Deku in shock as his aura burst open and grew massively. Deku clenched his fist and shot towards Gentle. 30%, yelled Deku. Deku's fist smashed into Gentle's jaw, knocking him down the street and into a lamp post. Deku shot after him, smashing his knee into the villain's stomach. Gentle coughed up blood, but grabbed Deku's leg, slamming him into the pavement. The two jumped to their feet and shot towards each other. With a massive spin kick, Deku kicked Gentle into the wall, then grabbed his arm, twisting it behind him. With another twist, Deku slammed him into the ground. We are done here, said Deku. The pink aura around Gentle faded, and Deku called the police. Gentle was handed over to him, and Deku took off, heading for UA. The Class 1A event was a massive success, with Goku enjoying it massively. Vegeta was less of a fan, but did crack a smile when he saw Bakugo on the drums. After, Deku, Mirio and Eri met up with Goku and Vegeta. Ah, this must be the little girl you saved. Hey, my name is Goku, said Goku. Goku gave his usual overexcited greeting, and Eri hid behind Mirio's leg. Goku smiled, backing up. She's adorable. Didn't you say she could rewind time? Asked Goku. Yeah, I think Mr. Aizawa said something about training her earlier. With a power like that, she will become a mighty warrior. Midoriya, when she is old enough, teach her how to use ki. She would be unstoppable if you did, said Vegeta. Deku looked at Eri, smiling. If she wants to become a hero, I'll help her in any way she can. I can, said Deku. End of chapter 8. Oh my god. It's finished. No more What If Goku. We finished it. Oh, this has been a journey. It's endless journey. I can't believe we started this before All For One, and it's finishing after All For One. Like, to be fair, I did do 6 chapters before Deku even got to Overhaul. No, before he even got to UA. But that's just because I like writing the relationship between Goku and Deku. But no, it's been a lot of fun. I think the next one's going to be Tornado. What if Deku was Tatsumaki's son, part 3. But after that will be chapter 1 of What If Deku Was a Firebender. It's going to be dark as hell, guys. It's going to be dark as hell. But this has been great fun. Remember to like and subscribe. Love you all. Stay safe.